Stacey starts this book by saying she's a huge fan of movies. She's been obsessed with movies her whole life. This is obviously a lie made up just for the movie-themed book. We know from book 6 that the only movie Stacey ever watches is Mary Poppins.
Argo Funk Book Review, Argo Funk Book Review.
This book was written by Suzanne Wein, who wrote 6 out of the last 12 books. Since she wrote most of the books at the end of the series, I have to wonder when she was told the Babysitters Club series was officially canceled. Stacey's excited to get the chance to take a movie-making class. Kristy's excited too. She'd rather take movie-making than business management. Wait, that's not the Kristy I know. The teacher has a fancy outfit, which is enough to convince Stacey she's an amazing person who can do no wrong. The class is split up into groups of 4. Stacey's paired with Emily Bernstein, Erica Bloomberg, and Pete Black. Each group has to pick a director, a screenwriter, producer, and cinematographer. Then the teacher forces everyone to switch jobs. What was the point of letting kids pick their jobs if you're just going to dole them out at random? The idea is that the teacher is pushing kids out of their comfort zones, but all it does is screw everything up. Like, Pete is forced to be the camera person, even though he's never touched a video camera before and has no idea what he's doing. That's clearly a bad idea. It causes so many problems, it makes me wonder why they never cover camera operation in the movie-making class. Stacey's forced to be the screenwriter, even though she doesn't know anything about writing. She can't think of any ideas, so she steals one from a TV show. They ask random people to be actors, and gee, acting's another thing that's not taught in this movie-making class. Stacey's movie has a scene where zombies pop out of lockers. The zombie makeup includes blue eye glitter, courtesy of Claudia. On the first take, some kids accidentally trap themselves inside the lockers. On the second take, the principal's startled when he walks by and sees zombies. Wow, these outtakes sound better than the actual movie. I wish the entire book was Stacey struggling to make a cheesy zombie movie. That would have been fun, and it's sort of what happened in Karen's movie. Instead, Stacey quickly hits the brakes on the project and decides their movie should be nothing but interviews. That way she doesn't have to write anything. Technically, the story should end here. The script is done. Stacey's job is finished. She doesn't have anything else to do for the movie. The same goes for the producer. We're told in real life the producer's job is to get funding, but in this case, none of the student movies are funded, so the 4th member of the group has nothing to do for the project. She just hangs around awkwardly while everyone else works. The subplot is with Kristy's movie. Kristy tries taking control of everything, like she normally does. Alan Gray's the director. He wants to be in charge. He and Kristy butt heads a bit. Mostly, Alan sits in the corner and whines to himself. It's pretty non-confrontational for him. Kristy tries to record Jackie Radowski, but he feels awkward, so Marianne tells Jackie he's not in the movie. Kristy gets mad at Marianne for messing up the movie, and I think Kristy and Marianne had more conflict than Kristy and Alan did. The first interview is with Pete. He quickly gets emotional, complaining he's sick of being 13 years old. He wants to turn 16 so he can get a job, a car, and leave this town forever. Wow, it sounds like Pete has realized this series has been stuck in 8th grade for over 10 years. Abby and Jesse have interesting interviews. Abby realizes she's unconsciously imitating her mother's bad habits. She leaves to question her life decisions. Jesse talks about how tough it is to be the only black family in town. It's a major strain on her because she's never allowed to forget her skin color, and she's always forced to be on her best behavior. Stacey is so shocked her jaw drops and she cries. This gets the Best Dropped Subplot Award. I wanted to hear more from Jesse, but the book ignores pretty much all of the interviews except Marianne's. You'd think these interviews would be more important because they go on for 6 chapters. Maybe they were never intended to be important. Maybe they were just there to fill up pages. especially since the big revelation in Claudia's interview is that she hates school and likes art. I think we already knew that. Kristy is the only club member who isn't interviewed. I have no idea why. I wanted to hear her deep, dark secrets. Marianne's interview ends with her getting angry at her dead mother.
Sometimes I'm so mad at her. My mother, I hate her for not being there. Why did she have to die?
Kristy tries to film the Pikes. Abby gets mad because she thinks Kristy's purposely endangering the kids. So Abby writes mean things about Kristy in the club notebook. I think Kristy and Abby had more conflict than Kristy and Alan did. Why does the Kristy fighting with Alan storyline mostly focus on Kristy fighting with other people? Marianne asks if her interview can be left out of the film. She didn't mean what she said. She was upset because she just had a fight with her stepmom. Emily refuses to cut Marianne's interview because it's her favorite. When Stacey passes the bad news on to Marianne, she gets so mad she hangs up the phone on her. There's an interview with Alan Gray. He complains nobody takes him seriously. Gee, maybe that's because of the constant burping and practical jokes, Alan. Alan ends his feud with Kristy when he manages to film a funny scene with Rosie Wilder. Kristy realizes Alan kinda knows what he's doing when it comes to funny stuff, so she stops arguing against his orders. Stacey is interviewed. Emily tricks Stacey into talking about the way her parents screamed at each other for months before the divorce. Stacey asks the others to cut that part out of the movie, but they refuse. Now Stacey knows how Marianne feels. Editing the movie has to be done on confusing old equipment because nobody knows how computers work yet. Again, Stacey asks the others to leave the embarrassing footage out of the movie. Pete agrees with Stacey. It's hypocritical for Emily and Erica to want embarrassing interviews from everybody when they refuse to say anything in their own interviews. They don't care. They decide the embarrassing stuff stays. So Stacey and Marianne film disclaimers, where they explain they didn't really mean what they said. The disclaimers make it into the 10-minute movie, and everybody goes home happy. The end. Post-book follow-up. This is the last appearance of Cookie Mason, Alan Gray, Anna, Pete, and others. It's like they wanted to do one last book with all the major secondary characters before the Babysitters Club series ended. It's not a terrible choice for the second to last book of the series. Most of the interviews are interesting, I just wish they were important to the story. It would have been cool if Stacey got to hear the deepest, darkest secrets of all the Babysitters Club members, and that was the main story. Instead, the story is Marianne gets a little embarrassed, so Stacey helps her feel better. Since this is Stacey's last book, I wish there was some Stacey-specific material. The story is so generic, the narrator could have been anyone besides Kristy or Marianne. It's got a good amount of entertainment and lots of characters, even some emotional moments. It could definitely use a rewrite, especially with Kristy's storyline and how the class is set up, and that really interesting Jessie confession we never go back to. But the book is fine as it is. It's not my favorite of the last books of the series, but I wouldn't say it's bad. I liked it way more than the final book, that's for sure. I give Babysitters Club number 130, Stacey's Movie, a 6 out of 10.